Hello my dear students, today we are going to study the third chapter of your literature book, Abraham Lincoln. This chapter is a biographical account of Abraham Lincoln. He is an inspirational personality of America who fought against the heinous act of slavery. Heinous means cruel act of slavery. So let us start the biographical account of Abraham Lincoln. Biography means a life story of a person written by someone else. So let us start. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809 and he died on April 15, 1865. He was the 16th President of the United States of America. He was the 16th President of America. He served as the President from March 4, 1861 until April 15, 1865. He was re-elected as a president, re-elected in 1864. Now students, let us have a look about his childhood. Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin. Log cabin means a small house made of wood near Hodgenville, Kentucky. He had very little formal schooling. Formal schooling means, student, as you are being provided education through the schools and then for the higher studies you will join the colleges and universities. But in case of Abraham Lincoln, he had very little formal schooling and he was mostly self-educated. He eventually became a lawyer. Eventually means finally. Finally he became a lawyer and a Republican politician. Students, in America, there are two major parties, Democrats and Republican. So, Abraham Lincoln was a politician from Republican Party. He earned the nickname Honest Abe. He also earned the name Honest Abe because of his honest deeds as a politician. Lincoln married Mary Todd in 1842. He married in 1842 and they had 4 sons. But only one, whose name was Robert, survived childhood. Only one child was survived. All the children were died in their childhood. Now, how was the condition of America during that time? The country was having problems regarding the practice of slavery. There was an evil of slavery. What was that? The white men owned large farms in southern states. White people were having large farms in southern states, and what they do? Blacks were brought from Africa to work on these farms. Black peoples were brought from Africa to work on these farms and they were kept as slaves. They were not provided any rights. The people of northern states were against this practice of slavery, while the people who lived in the northern states, they were against of this slavery practice and they wanted to abolish it. Abolish means end. They wanted to end this practice of slavery. The Constitution of America is based on the equality of man. The Constitution of America is also based on the equality of the man. So why there was this difference between the white and blacks? Therefore, there was no place for slavery in that country. So there should be no place for the slavery because the Constitution of America is based on the equality of the man. Lincoln was elected president in November 1860. He wanted to solve the problem of slavery. He wanted to end this slavery practice. During Lincoln's presidency, the southern states seceded. Seceded means separated. The Union, because they were against the abolition of slavery, because they were against in the abolition of slavery. They did not want to end the slavery. On the other hand, Lincoln and the northern states were against slavery, and other hand, Lincoln and northern states, they were against the slavery system. 6 weeks after becoming president, the Civil War began. After the 6 weeks of becoming president, the Civil War began in America. This put the unity of country in danger. Now the unity of the country was in danger. In this war, the northern state fought the southern states. They fought against each other. The southern states were prepared to form another country. Southern states already were prepared to form a separate country, but Abraham Lincoln wanted the states to be united. Abraham Lincoln did not want to divide his country. So how did the Civil War put the unity of the country in danger? Now how was the unity of country was in danger? The Civil War lasted from 1861 until 1865. Abraham Lincoln faced many problems during his presidency, but he wanted to preserve the unity of the country at any cost. He had never wanted to lose the unity of his country. Finally, a civil war broke out between northern and southern states. He is here Abraham Lincoln. He fought the war bravely and declared that a nation cannot exist half free. A nation never exists half free and half slave. He won the war and kept the country united. Abraham Lincoln won the Civil War and kept the country united. On January 1st, 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which eventually led to the freeing of all slaves in USA. Emancipation means freedom from some chains, and proclamation means declared. So Abraham Lincoln declared freedom from the chains of slavery for all the slaves in USA on January 1st, 1863. During the Civil War, Lincoln gave many speeches, including the Gettysburg Address. So during this Civil War, Abraham Lincoln gave many speeches and including the Gettysburg Address on November 1863. A short speech in which he stated how a country must be dedicated to human freedom in order to survive. And in his speech, he said that a country must be dedicated to human freedom. And now Abraham Lincoln had become famous among his citizens, so he was re-elected president in 1864 by defeating Democrat George B. McClellan. So students, I already told you that in America there are two major parties, Democrats and Republican. So this George B. McClellan was from the Democrats party. He was not against anybody and wanted everybody to live in peace. Abraham Lincoln was not against anybody. He wanted everybody to live in peace. And he made sincere efforts to heal the people's wounds caused by the war. And he made his sincere efforts to heal the people's physical and mental wounds they got from this civil war. So then what happened next? General Robert E. Lee from the Confederacy. Confederacy was that unrecognized association which the southern states made after leaving the Union. And then General Robert E. Lee surrendered to the General Ulysses S. Grant, who was from the Union, on April 9, 1865. And then the Civil War was effectively ended. President Lincoln was shot on April 14, 1865 by John Wilkes Booth, who was an actor at Ford's Theatre in Washington, D.C., which is the capital of America. Then President Lincoln was shot on 14 April 1865 by an actor in the theatre. Lincoln had been watching a play there, and he was watching a play there. Lincoln died the next morning, and next morning he died. He was the first US president ever assassinated. Assassinated means murdered. He was the first US president who was murdered. So students, this was the small biographical account of Abraham Lincoln's life. Hope you would have learnt a lot from this. Next, there is his Gettysburg Address during the Civil War. And after that, there is the letter from Abraham Lincoln to the teacher of his son. Students, you have to read these two amazing pieces of his writing and will learn a lot from these. Okay, then take care.